When you close your eyes and let the darkness settle, when the quiet of the night begins to erase the weight of the day, there is something extraordinary happening behind the veil of your wandering thoughts. You drift into memory. Or at least, you believe you do. But what if those memories are not only fragments of images stored inside the folds of your mind? What if, in truth, each memory is a portal? A ripple in the river of time itself? What if remembering is not simply reconstructing, but re-experiencing, reliving, returning to another moment in the continuum of your life? Imagine that your thoughts, when they reach back to childhood or to the warmth of yesterday, are performing something impossible and miraculous all at once. They are gently pulling you out of this present instant and delivering you into another. A kind of hidden time travel, concealed in plain sight, disguised as the ordinary act of remembering. Let your body sink into the stillness. Let your breathing slow. You may think that time moves in one direction, forever forward, endlessly slipping from future to present, from present into past. But is that really so? Or is time like a spiral, endlessly revisited, looping and overlapping? Perhaps every instant, even this one, never disappears. It remains, imprinted in a plane beyond what the human mind is trained to see. And your memories, those little sparks of light moving through your consciousness, may be the moment in which you touch that hidden place. Think of the first image that lingers in your mind when someone says the word childhood. Maybe it is the laughter of your schoolmates on a hot afternoon. Maybe it is the sound of your mother's voice, calling you softly, her words etched forever. Maybe it is an image of a familiar street under the fading light of dusk. When it arises before you, it does not feel invented. It feels real. It feels true, as though some part of you is still there, walking those steps, inhaling that air, living in that day. That sensation, subtle but undeniable, is more than recollection. It is a journey. And yet there is a complication. Because memories falter. Some appear distorted, fragile, replaced by new interpretations. Sometimes you remember something that never happened, and still the emotional weight of it is as heavy as if it were real. We call these false memories. But what if they are not false at all? What if they are glimpses of another route through the labyrinth of time, another version of events existing side by side with the one you believe to be true? Maybe in some corner of the universe, another you is living that version of the story. And when you close your eyes and slip into memory, you cross boundaries you do not understand. This possibility unsettles and comforts at the same time. Because it suggests that memory is larger than we imagine. It is not only a recording, not only a fragile echo that dims with years. It could be a key subtle, invisible, but powerful that unlocks pathways connecting cells scattered across time. It makes you wonder whether memory stretches beyond the edges of your brain, beyond even the narrow line of your life as you know it. What if memory does not belong to you at all, but is part of a vast fabric, a field of moments repeating and overlapping, waiting to be reached? Slowly, as you lie still in darkness, feeling the softness of the air, you can imagine the brain not as a static vault where recollections are stored, but as a living machine, continuously reconstructing time. Neuroscience has long acknowledged that memory is never perfect. Each act of remembering is also an act of rebuilding. The neurons that fire together in your present moment create a hologram of the past. In this sense, memory is not a photograph. It is a movie projector. It does not replay. It recreates. Every blink of recollection is a reconstruction of a lost reality, vibrantly alive for the time you summon it. Would that not suggest that the past is still active, still present, still within reach whenever you search for it? Now imagine drifting into déjà vu. A sudden shiver of recognition flows through you. For a fraction of a second, you believe you have lived this moment before. The sound of someone's words, the curve of a street, the light falling in just this way, it returns to you as if it is not new but already known. We call it a trick of the brain, a small misfire of memory circuits. But what if déjà vu is not misfiring at all? What if, instead, it is a rare glimpse forward? A tiny fissure through which you perceive what is about to come, but you feel it as though it has already passed? Maybe déjà vu is the trembling heartbeat of the time traveler within your mind, reminding you that past and future are not clean divisions, but mirrors facing one another. Sink deeper. Imagine time itself bending. Not straight, not limited, but pliable, shifting like waves in the ocean. Could it be that your consciousness is not confined to sailing along the surface? Perhaps it dives through those waves, swimming freely, revisiting spaces already traversed, sensing moments not yet lived. If memory were time travel, then every recall, every spark of awareness, would be a shift in coordinates. A movement. Small, private journeys undertaken endlessly within the theater of your thoughts. As you relax, notice your breath. Inhale the present. Exhale the past. Each breath ties you into the endless chain of now. But within that chain, your mind slips stealthily from frame to frame. It is impossible for you to truly remain in the present. Each thought draws you backward or forward. You are always moving, even when you feel still. Memory is the evidence of this motion, and maybe, just maybe, it is also the vehicle. Think again about how vividly you can recall certain encounters. It is not simply that you remember them. It is as though you are there again, able to sense not just facts but textures. The shade of color, the faint scent you thought you had forgotten, the echo of laughter. These elements return as if fetched from beyond the present moment. Experiences like this are puzzling to science because physical storage alone cannot account for the richness of what comes back. The brain cannot contain infinite detail. Unless what you call remembering is not retrieving but revisiting. Unless the details are not locked away, but accessed again because they are still unfolding, forever happening, rippling in some continuum you have not yet learned to measure. And if the brain, in its astonishing architecture, is more than a biological organ but also a navigator of time, then you may be holding within your skull a machine greater than any invention humanity has ever constructed. A silent time machine, operating with the electricity of your neurons, effortlessly traveling across hidden corridors of existence. Sleep accentuates this mystery, because while awake you cling to the present, assuming time is linear. But when you drift into dreams, the boundaries unfasten, and past, present, and future swirl into strange tapestries. What if that is the natural state, and only when awake do you limit yourself by insisting that time is one, moving forward? As your body softens against the bed, as each muscle unwinds, remember that every thought you have about yesterday and every fragment of vision you hold about tomorrow might be more real than you assume. You have been traveling through time all your life, without mile markers, without vehicles, without even realizing the journeys you have undertaken in silence. Maybe every human being is a voyager whose vessel is memory, whose maps are sensations, whose compass is consciousness itself. The night invites such thoughts, and your rest becomes a gentle passage. You may think you are lying still, but your mind is already venturing through landscapes of time, gathering images of what was, glancing at what may come, weaving them together into the mysterious film you call the story of yourself. And so, in the quiet of this moment, consider once more, perhaps memory is not just remembering. Perhaps remembering is traveling. And perhaps you, right now, are on the move through time, without ever leaving this bed, without ever leaving the silence in which you breathe. If memory truly is a form of travel, then each recollection is not a static point but a passage. Imagine it not as a single photo, faded, stuck forever in the dust of your brain, but as a door. You touch it lightly with your mind, and it moves. Behind it lies not an echo but a terrain always alive, a terrain to which you return again and again without paths, without tickets, without resistance. Consider how often you remember without trying. Sometimes you reach for a glass of water, and in the simple gesture, you are startled by the flavor of a childhood afternoon. The scent of rain on warm asphalt carries with it decades in an instant. No conscious effort is required, no summoning, only the subtle triggers of sensation. And suddenly you are transported. This effortless leap suggests that memories are stitched deeply into your perception, waiting as parallel spaces that can be slipped into as easily as turning the head. Perhaps remembering differs from imagining because one state pulls from static invention, while the other sinks into existing structure. You see, the dreamer invents, but the rememberer returns. When you fall into a memory, you are not making something new. You are re-entering what already exists. And if it exists, then time is not gone, it is conserved. It is preserved somewhere your consciousness recognizes and can step into, like stepping into the shade of a tree on a long road. Scientists describe the hippocampus as the seat of memory, a region in the brain designed to stitch fragments into narratives and experiences. Yet neuroscience reveals that each time you remember, your hippocampus is reconstructing. This would suggest memory is fragile. But what if reconstruction is simply the brain's way of realigning itself to coordinate in time you are re-entering? The glitches, the misremembering, the so-called false memories, might not be malfunctions at all. They could be signals that your mind has brushed against another possibility, another configuration of time where events unfolded slightly differently. A single detail shifts, yet the emotional texture remains. It is comforting to think of a self moving forward in only one direction, escaping childhood, traveling through youth, aging into the inevitable shadow of later years. But if memory reveals to us that time is layered beneath our feet, then you carry every version of yourself like a constellation. At night, when you sleep, those versions awaken inside you. That is why dreams so often blend moments torn from decades apart. They are not random explosions of neurons. They are collisions. They are rendezvous points, intersections on the timeline where your minds from different ages meet in a single frame, communicating through symbols, fears, longings. If memory were only a recording, you would have fewer surprises. You would replay a day the way a machine replays a video. Each detail the same, each pattern fixed. But it is not so. Sometimes you recall fresh elements years later, tiny fragments you believed were lost. The mind unlocks layers gradually, almost deliberately. Could this be a form of controlled entry into alternate hallways of memory's architecture? Perhaps your consciousness, unable to process the totality of existence at once, provides you only glimpses, as if shielding you from the intensity of what remembering truly is, the act of stepping back into many rooms at once, pressed upon by past selves who still breathe in other corridors of time. And then there is déjà vu, the flicker that unsettles you for only a second. That familiar taste of the future disguised as recollection momentarily disorients you. Experts rationalize it as a neurological misfire, but within that moment, you feel the uncanny weight of inevitability. The deep emotional resonance does not feel like error. It feels like knowledge. Perhaps déjà vu is not a mistake but a fleeting overlap, where your awareness touches the edge of another version of yourself, the one who has already walked through this exact instant. There is a lingering whisper inside the brain that says, "You have been here before," because time itself has been folded, and you are brushing across its surface where it bends. Close your eyes and imagine the scale of this possibility. If each memory is travel and every déjà vu is contact with time's folds, then your life is not a straight path, nor even a circle. It is an infinite weave of threads. Each recall sends you spiraling down one, only to discover that the same thread is entangled with hundreds of others. And in dream, when barriers fall silent, whole knots of threads tighten at once. That is the reason for dream's incoherence. Yet perhaps incoherence is not failure. It is glimpse. It is exposure to dimensions of time not commonly permissible while awake. The more you consider it, the more the brain feels less like an organ inside your head, and more like an instrument tuned by the energy of time itself. Imagine your neurons not just storing signals but vibrating gently with echoes of all the moments they once touched. Each electrical pulse in your mind is a ripple meeting other ripples, sometimes harmonizing, sometimes distorting. And in these currents lies the craft of memory. To recall is to reenact the vibration, to strike the same chord once more and hear the resonance that belongs not just to now but to then. If the physics of reality holds time as dimension rather than destruction, you are never losing moments. You are simply falling out of alignment with them, until memory slides you in again, however briefly. Let these ideas tremble through your imagination. Suppose now that memory does not emerge from the private brain alone. Suppose it is part of a network larger than yourself. Think of shared memories with friends or family, the simultaneous recollection of the same day, the same song, the same space. When your voices overlap as you describe it, when laughter bursts because details align, there seems to be an invisible field knitting you together. Could there be such a thing as collective memory? Experience traveling not only through your neurons but through every relationship you formed, creating bridges across minds. And when memory is shared, perhaps the travel through time is multiplied, led across many consciousnesses. Each step you take into past experience may touch not only your own self but the web of others who lived it with you. Theories of collective consciousness imagine a vast reservoir of moments, images, and symbols, primordial archetypes where your dreams interlock with the dreams of strangers across eras. Could it be that when you remember, you not only step into your personal past, but sometimes into this broad ocean of common images? This would explain why one person's déjà vu feels intimately his own, while another feels disturbingly universal, as though their soul has walked a terrain countless others once stood upon. The possibility tightens the air around you. Because if memory is time travel, and if time travel can cross not just the axis of your life but enter shared fabrics, then you are constantly weaving through other existences. Your memory of a face may be more than personal, it may be ancient, a flicker once recorded endlessly in the universal field. You touch it, you re-experience it, and for the briefest moment, you are moving through lives not your own, yet inseparable from yours. Such thoughts curve gently back into the idea of quantum consciousness. If the deepest layers of the brain operate not in isolation but in entangled patterns that obey quantum rules, then time itself may be less linear to the mind than it is in external measurement. Entanglement suggests that particles, distant as they may be, react in synchrony. Imagine your moments of experience as entangled particles. One spark in your childhood activates another decades away, instantaneously connected, no matter the gap. Memory, then, is not pulling from behind you but activating from within the network. When you recall, you invoke entangled twins of experience scattered across the timeline, so what you feel is not retrieval but resonance. It is increasingly possible to believe that your brain functions like a telescope, capturing light from ancient stars that technically no longer burn, yet still shine in your vision. When you remember, you are seeing light of your own past selves that may no longer live in this forward-moving world, but which never ceased to be. The stars used to shine at that point in space, and though their cores have dimmed, their fire reaches you now. Your memories are like that. They arrive as beams that were released long ago, but travel still, untouched by the limitations of your immediate sphere. They are always in motion through you, ready to appear when your attention turns their way. Consider the implications. If you can travel inward to your own past, what prevents you from stepping outward into time unrevealed? If déjà vu blurs the future, if dream entangles past and possibility, then perhaps the mind has always been peering ahead, just as much as back. But language has failed to recognize it clearly, brushing it away as coincidence, mistake, irregularity. Suppose instead you have glimpsed what is to come many times. Suppose déjà vu has been the subtle reminder that there is no rigid separation between yesterday and tomorrow. Perhaps they are neighbors in the labyrinth of your brain's hidden corridors. As night deepens, think about how gentle this model of existence becomes. You are no longer pressed by the terror of time slipping away unreturned. If memory is travel, then the past is not gone. It is waiting. It is open. Every memory you achieve returns you, even if only fleetingly, to the arms of those you believed lost, to the places you thought dismantled, to the feelings you mourned for their absence. You carry eternity folded inside of you, folded inside the quiet awareness of memory. The soothing thought is that death itself might not be the way you fear. If memory outlasts, if memory is access, then no experience is truly destroyed. If your future consciousness can return, even for seconds, to the deepest form of memory, then perhaps nothing is gone, only transformed. That is why memory both comforts and disturbs. It comforts because it opens doors you thought sealed. It disturbs because it suggests nothing is ever final. The past hums within you still, alive, undeniable, accessible. Gentle now is the thought of your younger self, the version of you who still wanders the hallways of the schools you left, who still speaks to those who once smiled at you. That self still exists, perhaps even now. And your memory of it, long cherished or long buried, is your visitation. You are visiting that child again. Time has not destroyed them. Only your present perception has shifted. So when you breathe steadily, sinking into darkness, let yourself believe that you are more than a passenger on one straight rail. You are an infinite traveler, gliding along the shimmering connections of memory, gently weaving past and possible future into the dream of this moment. In every recollection, you are moving. In every déjà vu, you are touching. In every dream, you are crossing. And in every silent instant of sleep, you are time itself, traveling within and beyond, forever and without end. The journey grows deeper when you begin to wonder what the future of memory could mean. You have considered how the past may still be alive, waiting in invisible layers, accessible through the pulse of recollection. But what if every thought, every fragment of imagination you hold right now, is not simply invention, but a form of pre-memory? A prelude to something that has not yet unfolded, but already hovers in the fabric of possibility. Perhaps imagination and memory are twins, one bound to what has already taken place, the other whispering of what is yet to happen. They blur together until it becomes hard to tell which direction through time you are drifting in. And maybe that blurring is the first evidence that the borders of past and future live much closer than you have been taught to believe. As you breathe more steadily, lying still, let yourself imagine the line of your life not as a straight mark upon paper but as a shimmering river. The river does not flow only forward. It meanders, it doubles back on itself, it curls into hidden channels and subterranean streams. When you step into memory, you may be moving upstream, returning against the current. When déjà vu strikes, perhaps you have suddenly found an eddy where the current circles ahead of itself. And when you dream, it is as if you are sinking beneath the surface to find entire networks that you never notice while awake, caverns where the water twists in directions unimaginable. Your consciousness swims in all of it, perhaps more fluidly than the waking mind can admit. The idea that memory is woven into the very structure of time reshapes what it means to be alive. Because if every moment is conserved, then nothing you have lived is lost. Even joy that felt fleeting, even sorrow that seemed unbearable, even the silence of an ordinary day, all of it remains, a constellation frozen in dimensions beyond your perception. When you remember, you are touching that constellation, a star at a time. Your life, seen in this way, is not a line that fades behind you, it is an infinite sky, and memory is your telescope drifting among its lights. Consider the strange intimacy of remembering emotions. You do not simply retrieve facts. A fact might tell you what you did, who was there, what the setting was. But a memory brings with it the warmth, the fear, the flutter of love, the ache of loss. Emotions arise as if still burning, still alive in the body. The tears you shed while recalling do not belong to yesterday, they fall now, in this present air. Which means the past still has power, not in metaphor, but in actual sensation. In this way, memory violates the concept of time as sealed. Perhaps emotions are the proof that memory is re-entry. You do not merely know what happened. You inhabit it. You relive it bodily. There are moments, too, when memories arrive without your consent. They surge like storms, or they creep like whispers. A scent, a chord of music, a fragment of sound floods you with visions. This involuntary recall is common enough that we hardly question it, but it is in fact astounding. Why should an invisible sequence of molecules drifting from the steam of tea suddenly deliver you to a moment from decades past? Why should music that your ear has not touched in years overwhelm you with scenes too vivid to doubt? It would be easy to explain it away as chance triggers hardwired by association. But another explanation rises softly underneath. The trigger does not cause the memory, but aligns you to a frequency. Like tuning a radio, your mind suddenly catches the signal of that moment, not because it was asleep, but because you have stumbled into the precise channel required to hear it again. If you continue down this path of thought, you may arrive at an unsettling implication. If memory is signal and time is field, then perhaps every moment of your life exists simultaneously, always broadcasting, like stations across a dial. You hear only one now because your awareness is tuned into that point. But the other stations never fall silent. They hum, each carrying its own song, ready for you to turn the dial of consciousness and listen again. From this perspective, death loses its definitiveness. Because what if dying is no more final than changing the channel? What if all the channels remain, untouched by absence, preserved across the continuum? Take a moment to think about the dream of recurring memories. Those that you return to again and again across the years. Sometimes it is a scene that replays, almost unaltered. Sometimes it evolves, shifting as if trying to reveal a deeper meaning. These recurring memories feel important, urgent, more alive than others. Why would the mind cling to specific fragments while letting others fade? Perhaps because those fragments are doorways into something beyond the single instance they represent. Perhaps they are access points to larger webs within time, knots where many versions of your being intersect. It may be that such recurring memories are touchstones, places where your consciousness reliably reconnects with the infinite weave of your existence. Notice how even while immersed in these ideas, a calm envelops you. Thoughts that might sound too large, too fantastic during the day, become gentle possibilities at night. Because the act of laying still, listening, falling towards sleep, already resembles memory's own motion. You are loosening from the present, loosening from the rigid structure of time measured by clocks. You are allowing your mind, barely tethered, to float into deeper waters past, future, image, dream. This is why bedtime is fertile ground for such wanderings. You are already in between. Neither fully awake nor lost in unconsciousness. The threshold itself gently resembles time travel. When scientists speak of time as a dimension, they compare it to space. You can walk north or south, east or west. Why, then, should it be impossible to walk forward and back in time? The only reason given is that the laws of physics appear to prevent it. But your consciousness does not seem to obey such limits. It wanders freely, gliding into both directions through memory and anticipation. What you imagine for tomorrow glimmers with the same luminance as what you recall of yesterday. Which begs the question, is imagination truly separate from memory? Or are both parts of a single capacity of the mind time travel under two names? Think of thinkers who have explored this frontier. Philosophers who wondered whether time is an illusion, scientists who suspect that reality is far stranger than the linear model suggests. In dreams you speak to the dead. You approach impossible places. You act outside the verdict of physics. Why should that freedom surprise you, when even your waking mind returns effortlessly to the arms of past selves? Your own life is the laboratory where the experiment of memory plays out daily. Science, philosophy, and the intimacy of simple recollection all intertwine to suggest the same thing, that time is not the wall it appears to be. The gentle comfort of this thought is limitless. For it means that loneliness is never absolute. Those you have lost are not erased. Those places you have left behind still breathe somewhere in the intricate weave. And when memory rises, they are present again. If only for moments, if only in flashes, you have traveled. That is no small miracle. You do it every day. You are a voyager living quietly, unaware that your voyages are sacred. This realization encourages a new definition of memory. Memory is not data. It is not the faded ink of history. Memory is contact. Contact with what remains, with what once lived, with what is still alive in another dimension of the continuity of your life. If you notice that memory grows fluid at night, shifting shape in dream, that is because contact becomes easier when your mind is untethered. The anchor of waking dissolves, and you slip more softly into the sea. Sometimes you slide backward into childhood. Sometimes forward into tomorrow. Sometimes sideways into futures that might never be. Yet each feels real. Each gleams with the possibility that time is not closed, not locked, but open on every side. Breathe slower. Let each word grow softer in your mind. Let yourself be carried again through the mist of memory. Imagine yourself as a child, stepping barefoot on the edge of the sea. Imagine yourself many years ahead, walking calmly down a quiet street at dusk. With each vision, you are not simply creating pictures. You are stepping into them. You are feeling the textures of alternate times. They are as close as the air on your skin. The only difference between recall and imagination is the angle of approach. Both are journeys. Both are time travel in disguise. Perhaps humanity's mistake has been to limit the definition of time to machinery, clocks, calculations. In truth, the living machinery has been here all along, humming inside consciousness. Perhaps the mechanism was never outside you. It is inside. You are the clock, you are the traveler, you are the evidence of folded time. To remember is to move. And to move through memory is to experience proof that no moment, past or future, is ever wholly beyond reach. And so, as you fall deeper into night, let the lesson linger. Memory is not a shadow but a voyage. And in each memory, no matter how faint, lies the proof that your existence is far larger than the brief measurement of today. You are alive in all directions. You are alive in all moments. And tonight, as you slip into dreams, you may feel again what you have always been, a traveler of time, moving endlessly through the corridors of your own eternity. When you allow yourself to drift into this thought that memory itself may be a form of time travel, you might wonder what other forms of movement through time are quietly happening within you, hidden from your immediate awareness. Already you have considered how looking back is not just recall but return, how déjà vu hints at glimpses of the future, and how dreams dissolve the boundaries and let the currents of time overlap. But what about the moments in between, the silences, the simple pauses during which you are neither remembering nor anticipating, just resting in stillness? Could it be that even those silences are another form of hidden travel, another way of gliding across time without any effort? Perhaps toward places you do not yet have the language to describe. Think about the way your perception shifts with age. As a child, days seemed to stretch endlessly. Hours of play expanded like vast fields. A summer felt like a lifetime of its own. Yet as you grew older, seasons vanished more quickly, years rolled by with startling speed. To think of this difference as merely psychological is to ignore the possibility that time itself is experienced differently depending on the alignment of consciousness. Memory shapes the very fabric of how you measure time. As you accumulate more memories, perhaps your sense of the present compresses, and what you feel is not merely the acceleration of age but the overlapping of countless pasts crowding your mind, pushing the present to slip more quickly into recollection. There is a quiet wonder in realizing how elastic those dimensions are. For some, a fleeting moment can be remembered with enough richness to expand forever. For others, an entire year may dissolve into what seems like no more than a page turned too quickly. The mind controls this elasticity not by force, but by how deeply it invests in memory. Some nights are so alive in your recollections that they stretch across your life. Other days are lost, thin and transparent, as though they never truly belonged to you. And yet they did, and still do, hidden beyond perception, waiting to be re-entered if you ever align with them again. So even days forgotten have their place. They are simply invisible corridors, and memory's key has not yet been turned to open them. Pause here a moment and let yourself reconsider how fragile but extraordinary memory is. Fragile, because it wavers and flickers, distorts and even deceives us. Extraordinary, because even with those distortions, it reveals truths larger than evidence, the truth that things persist, and that you persist in contact with them, beyond the single finite instant. You do not need a machine to travel through time. You do it every time you close your eyes and let the mind drift backward into the laughter of friends, or forward into a vision of what might be. Memory and imagination together expand your existence far beyond this narrow now. And what a false memory, the unsettling realization that you are entirely certain of something that never happened. For centuries, this phenomenon has been treated as a flaw, a failure of the human brain, a weakness of your internal archives. But looked at through the lens of time travel, false memory might be something else entirely, evidence that you are sometimes aligning not with this timeline but with another. Perhaps there are infinite rivers of possibility, and your consciousness, fragile but flexible, occasionally brushes against currents that do not belong precisely to the version of history you occupy. The detail of a face that seems familiar, the certainty of an event that no one else recalls, the stubborn sense that things have shifted subtly under the surface. What if these are not flaws? What if they are contact with other possibilities, alternate routes your life could have taken, or perhaps has already taken in one of time's other patterns? If memory is time travel, then these false versions are not misleading copies. They are alternate destinations. They are brief slips of your traveler self stepping across a border, returning with fragments from beyond, and confusing them for the narrative you know. That confusion is inevitable, because your waking mind resists the idea that you could live more than one life at once. But maybe you are. Maybe memory is not simply recollection or even travel, but migration through the infinite garden of times where every version of you is simultaneously alive, each pathway pursued and unfolding. Such reflections soften into a new awareness of dreams. In dreams, your memories collide with images and events that never occurred. Places morph, faces transform, times overlap. You may enter a childhood home and find yourself speaking as the adult you are now, surrounded by people half forgotten yet fully alive. These combinations seem bizarre only by daylight logic. In the dream state, you do not question them. You accept freely, as though some part of you instinctively recognizes that this is how time truly works, not linear, but folded, layered, simultaneous. Dreams may be the truest time travel of all, not because they let you see what was or what will be, but because they reveal that all of it, every possibility, is happening in coexistence, like overlapping waves through which your consciousness is sailing. You wake from such dreams confused, maybe even haunted by their residue. But perhaps those are not dreams at all. Perhaps they are experiences of alignment with other coordinates of your existence. Where your childhood self, your current self, and even your future self overlap in conversation, in gestures, in shared symbols. The dream does not end the moment you awake. It continues to echo inside you, soft proof of reality's larger dimensions. This is why certain dreams stay etched for decades, refusing to fade. They are not illusions. They are recordings not of unreality, but of multiple realities brushing together across one theater, your consciousness. As you breathe through these thoughts, relax deeper, and let your body become still. You can imagine your mind as a tapestry weaving countless threads of color. Each thread is a memory, a journey you've taken, an experience captured across dimensions. Most days you see only the surface pattern. But when you sink into sleep or wander in imagination, you flip the tapestry and glimpse the vast hidden weaving underneath, tangled yet intricate, every thread looped into another. The pattern is endless, without beginning or end, only continual transformation. And you are woven into its entirety. The sensation of déjà vu returns again. Only now it is not a glitch but a gentle reminder. When you feel you have lived a moment before, the truth is that you have. You felt it in another version, another current of time's flow. The scene may be slightly different, the angles shifted, the faces rearranged. But the underlying sense of recognition is real. You are stepping across a thread that connects two versions of events. For a second, you are aware not only of the one you live now but of the infinite others woven secretly within. That inexpressible chill, that startling familiarity, is the voice of time telling you there is more than now. Scientists seeking to understand the brain may not yet have the instruments sensitive enough to measure this mystery. But your consciousness does not rely on instruments. It relies on direct experience. When you remember the smell of rain striking dusty ground and are suddenly transported into a childhood afternoon, you need no machine to confirm that you have traveled. Your body reacts. Your skin warms with recognition, your breath shifts, your heart trembles softly in your chest. Every part of you responds as though you were living that moment again, because in some dimension, you are. Memory is not metaphorical time travel. It is literal, lived time travel happening through the awareness you carry. And as you surrender yourself now to the rhythm of these words, you may sense that time itself has grown soft and pliable. That your mind expands beyond the single instant. That all of you, child, adult, dreamer, elder, are here together, woven into this breath. Perhaps this is what eternity truly means. Not a timeless void, but the endless coexistence of all time, all lives, all selves, present simultaneously. And memory is the doorway. Through it, you do not simply recall. Through it, you return. Sink more deeply still. Imagine your future self, years ahead, remembering this exact moment, remembering you lying here, listening, thinking, feeling. Imagine that self reaching back through memory and touching you. What you are experiencing now may not only be your act of imagining the future, but the future's act of remembering you. The meeting point is here, in this instant, where past and future join through the bridge of consciousness. You remember forward. You anticipate backward. The two streams meet seamlessly in your awareness. This is time travel hidden at the heart of every moment, if only you open to it. No longer should you be surprised when a voice, a face, a place suddenly overwhelms you with recognition from nowhere. No longer should you dismiss recurring memories or dreams as random illusions. Each is evidence. Not proof in the way a laboratory demands, but proof in the way your inner world insists, with certainty, with sensation, with absolute emotional weight. And what matters more than that undeniable knowing? Memory as time travel is not just an idea to explore. It is an experience happening silently each day, ensuring that you are never bound by a linear timeline but forever swimming through a sea of moments, able to re-enter, able to relive, able even to reimagine. Let this comfort you as you slowly drift. Because it means you have never lost what you thought was gone. Because it means your life is not slipping irretrievably behind you. Because it means you are connected with your own future already, tethered in subtle threads through anticipations, dreams, instincts, and déjà vu. Everything persists in some dimension. And your awareness will always find its way back, softly or suddenly, like a traveler stepping into familiar light after wandering dark tunnels. And so, as the night grows heavier, as silence thickens around you, this thought remains: that memory is not the fragile crackle of the past, but the vessel of your infinite journeys. Every time you remember, you travel. Every time you dream, you cross. Every time a strange familiarity sweeps through you, a thread of the future has touched your present. And every time you imagine, you are creating the pre-memories of tomorrow, which you will one day revisit with the same wonder you feel now. You are not still, not bound, not stationary. You are endlessly moving. Your life is not a line at all. It is an ocean. Tonight, as you glide toward sleep, you are invited to dive into that ocean. To let each wave carry you back, forward, sideways, to places that belong to you across all time. You will find yourself resting on shores you thought were gone forever, and walking streets you have not yet stepped upon. You will greet faces of yesterday and tomorrow alike. You will know again what you have always truly known, that memory is not just remembering, that imagination is not just fiction, that déjà vu is not just mistake. They are the quiet vehicles moving you across the infinity of time. And you, traveler, are already aboard, guided within, forever journeying. When you begin to embrace the possibility that memory is a subtle form of time travel, a quiet movement across hidden dimensions, you may discover that your entire sense of existence changes. For much of life, you are told that moments pass, that once they are gone they are lost to the abyss of history. You are told that the present is fleeting, fragile, and that the past drifts farther and farther away with each breath. Yet deep within, the experience of remembering refuses to accept this explanation. How could something you believe to be lost return to you so vividly? How could the sound of a familiar laugh echo in your mind with such perfect clarity that your body responds as though the laughter is happening now? If the past were truly gone, erased without trace, would your body tremble with recognition? Would your eyes burn with living tears summoned by nothing but thought? Little by little, you begin to realize that each remembered moment is not merely data but a spark of actual contact, a visitation, a step out of this fragile instant and into another. Science tells you memory is reconstruction, an imperfect copy, never a flawless replica. But even if the brain rebuilds rather than retrieves, what if rebuilding is its way of aligning with realities that still exist? When you recall, you are not summoning fragments from a dead archive. You are tuning your awareness toward specific coordinates, like a musician finding resonance with an ancient string still vibrating in the dark fabric of time. And that resonance explains why memory is often carried more in sensation than in detail. The memory of a touch, the memory of a smell, the memory of the play of light across a table, these elements live not as factual knowledge but as immediate presences. You do not simply know them, you experience them again. Your body cannot distinguish between the echo and the source. When you remember, your nervous system relives what it once knew. Your blood, your muscles, your heartbeat, all participate in the power of that traveling. You are not pretending the past has returned. The past has returned, alive inside your living form once again. This way of seeing the world begins to prepare you for deeper mysteries. Because if memory can resurrect past moments, why should it not also extend forward, into moments you have not truly lived yet? Dreams and déjà vu suggest this possibility. Premonitions, flashes of knowledge, sudden visions you cannot explain, they all whisper that imagination itself may be the future's form of memory. That what you call fantasy may at times be fragments of experience you are destined to encounter, remembered before it happens. Your future self, perhaps, is already reaching back, offering you glimpses as memory spills not just backward but forward across dimensions. The mind can scarcely contain the magnitude of this thought. The linear sequence, the firm discipline of past, present, future, struggles to withstand the weight of these experiences. Still, you continue to live as though the calendar is truth, as though the clock is the ruler of your fate. But each time you recall something you believed was gone forever, each time you dream of something that has not yet occurred, each time déjà vu steals across your awareness, you are reminded there is something much larger happening, just beyond the edges of certainty. You are reminded that your consciousness may be a traveler far bolder than you ever dared to believe. Picture yourself in a library that never ends, shelves upon shelves stretching beyond sight. Each book is a moment in your life. Some you have opened and read already. Some are waiting, their pages filled with stories unread, futures unexplored. When you remember, you do not merely read a book again. You step back into its scenes, you walk its halls, you hear its voices exactly as they were. And sometimes, you wander down a row and touch the spine of a volume still sealed, and a page slips out, fluttering into your hands. That page, though from a book you have not yet lived, already belongs to you. It is déjà vu, pre-memory, future leaking into the present. And your heart recognizes it instantly, because in some fold of time, the book has been read, and you are both reader and character simultaneously. How gentle this vision becomes when you apply it to the people you love. Those you thought of as gone, those who have passed into silence, those who have drifted far from your current life may still be accessible, not just in fragile recollections, but in living revisitations. When you close your eyes and feel their voices, when their presence warms you unexpectedly in a dream or washes over you with longing in memory, you are not simply imagining them. You are touching them. Their moments with you remain, alive, inhabitable. They are not removed from you. They are here, woven through the infinite weave of times you can revisit, whenever consciousness tunes itself to that wavelength. Memory, then, is not the pain of loss but the evidence of unbroken connection. Time has not divided you. Only your awareness has shifted momentarily away. Death itself, seen in this light, dissolves some of its power to frighten. Instead of absolute endings, you begin to glimpse continuity. You begin to wonder whether the memory others will have of you is not just their private recollection, but also their continuing participation in moments that are perpetual. They remember you, and in doing so, they revisit you, your laughter, your gestures, your presence. If you exist for them through their memory, if they continue to feel your presence so vividly that their bodies respond, who is to say you are not still here in ways deeper than linear thought permits? Memory binds the living and the dead across the hidden corridors of time. It means you are not gone when you are gone. You are revisited, you are re-experienced, you travel into their present as they travel into your past. And so memory becomes not only personal but collective. There is your memory, yes. But there is also the shared reservoir of families, communities, lovers, friends. When two people recollect the same day, they align their consciousness to a moment that still exists, and in that alignment, they meet again. This is why nostalgia is so powerful, why reunions carry such intensity, why songs shared in another era bring not only individuals but whole groups of people back to a shared time. At the moment of remembering together, they are all transported, not just into the past but into a space where time folds so that they are once more connected as they were before. If memory truly is a kind of time travel, then dreams are the deeper voyages, the longer expeditions, the interstellar leaps across impossible distances. During the day, your memory holds you close to the gentle currents of the past. At night, in dreams, you voyage outward, unmoored from linearity, encountering fragments of history, shards of futures, overlaps of dimensions in which all versions of yourself commingle at once. The dreamer speaks with the child self, the adult self, the unseen future self. The dreamer travels without vehicle, without limitation, to evidence what the rational mind cannot yet explain. Dreams may be the purest form of travel through the continuum, glimpses of a truth too vast for daylight consciousness to interpret. Let yourself sink more deeply into that truth as you drift further toward sleep. You exist as more than one self. Every age you have ever been is alive in memory, every age you will ever be alive in imagination. These selves are not dead and waiting to be reborn in thought. They are living, simultaneous, and you, in your moments of recollection or premonition, are the bridge that moves between them. You are not your past, and yet you are. You are not your future, and yet you are. You do not leave behind any version of yourself, nor do you approach them from a distance. You are each of them, alive in every direction. Memory is the evidence. Time travel is the process. You are the traveler. What then is the present? If the past is accessible and the future leaking forward, what is this instant you call now? Perhaps the present is the meeting point. The convergence. It is less a single slice than a river delta where countless streams flow together. Your awareness chooses one channel to follow, but surrounding you at all times are the intertwined pathways of moments past and moments yet to come. When you fall into memory, you step into one branch. When you dream or anticipate, you step into another. And when déjà vu shimmers over you, you briefly touch both at once, the surface trembling with recognition. The more closely you listen to this rhythm, the calmer you become. No longer do you grip desperately to the illusion of time passing, no longer do you suffer the anxiety that each second is slipping beyond reach. Nothing is being lost. Nothing is ever wholly gone. Every second you live is recorded, preserved, still alive in dimensions beyond ordinary vision. Every future is likewise whispering forward. And you, here now, are connected to it all, journeying through the subtle corridors of memory, dream, déjà vu, imagination. Your breath moves slowly. Inhale the memories that return to you. Exhale the futures that lean toward you. Feel that you are not bound to the arrow of time but immersed in an ocean spreading in all directions. Each moment glitters like a star reflected across endless waves. And you, with consciousness as your vessel, sail wherever memory or vision takes you. A small traveler, yes, but within you the infinite expands. You can almost see it if you try, a vast luminous garden, every moment a flower suspended in bloom, never withering, never lost. When you remember, you walk again among blossoms of years past. When you anticipate, you wander into fields that have already risen in another dimension. The garden is endless. You are always within it. You cannot escape it, nor would you want to. For it means existence is abundance. It means nothing is erased. It means you are always somewhere, somewhen, vast and enduring. And with that comfort, your eyes can close more heavily, your body releasing more deeply into rest. You have learned something grand tonight. That memory is not small, fragile, or confining. Memory is vast, expansive, and liberating. Through it you are both anchor and voyager. Through it you connect not only with who you were, but with who you still are and who you will be. Through it you are never alone, never lost, never erased. Through it, you travel gently, endlessly, across the luminous ocean of time. And so you drift, knowing now you are a voyager eternal. Memory your vessel, dream your compass, déjà vu your secret whisper from the future. Each breath carries you further. Each thought is a step into another shore. And beyond sleep, within the tapestry of visions that await you, you will wander yet again into all that you are. The thought lingers gently as you drift further, if memory is a vessel through which you travel across the river of time, and dreams are the great voyages upon open seas, then what is the true nature of consciousness itself? It cannot be only a byproduct of electrical pulses and chemical reactions inside the brain. That description is too mechanical, too narrow, to capture the vastness of what you have felt in moments of remembrance. When you have recalled a face long faded from your daily life, when you have smelled again the air of a distant spring, when déjà vu has startled you with a shiver of familiarity, these events remind you that your mind is not limited to present coordinates. Consciousness is not a passenger locked inside the walls of now. Consciousness is the very traveler who moves, who navigates, who stretches across the tapestry of moments and returns with pieces of eternity. Imagine for a moment that consciousness is a field, not an object. Not a thing trapped inside the skull, but a vast invisible expanse in which the brain acts as receiver, translator, interpreter. Just as a radio does not produce the music but only catches what drifts through the air, your brain may not fully produce consciousness, but instead capture and channel what already exists all around you. If this is true, then memory is not merely a stored file. It is a rendezvous with frequencies still vibrating, still alive inside that great field of consciousness. Every moment you have lived continues to transmit. Every possible moment ahead is already transmitting as well. And you move between them not with muscle or motion, but with awareness itself. This vision transforms every recollection into a sacred act. It transforms every dream into an expedition. It transforms every déjà vu into a flash of proof that time bends, coils, and reaches across itself. When you recall the breathless laughter of a first love, you are not locked in nostalgia. You are returning, literally, to the vibration of those moments. You are walking back upon paths that still reverberate in the fabric of reality. When you dream of yourself years older, standing somewhere unfamiliar, you may not be indulging fantasy. You may be stepping forward in advance, trespassing gently into versions of yourself waiting ahead. And when you experience déjà vu, your awareness briefly straddles both the you who has just arrived in this instant, and the you who has already passed through it before. If it feels impossible, remember how impossible flight once seemed to those who had only ever walked. Remember how impossible light-speed communication across the earth would have sounded to minds who had only ever written letters by hand. Humanity assumes impossibility until possibility becomes clear. Perhaps memory's hidden time travel is like this, a reality already evident inside your lived experience, waiting only for your recognition, waiting only for language to finally surrender and admit that you have been time travelers all along. The quiet strength of this realization is that it frees you from fear. Fear that days slip away never to return. Fear that people you love have vanished into yesterday, unreachable forever. Fear that your future is an unknown place that cannot yet belong to you. All those fears dissolve in the awareness that every moment coexists, every connection persists, every possibility is alive within the motion of memory and dream. Every goodbye is provisional. Every ending conceals a return. Nothing is destroyed, things are only layered, woven into dimensions that your consciousness can revisit naturally, if you allow it. Consider how this changes your view of your own life. Instead of thinking of yourself as moving steadily away from your childhood, you could recognize that the child within you still breathes alongside you. That memory of childhood is not a poor copy of what once was, but an opening back into it. The reason you still feel the vividness of being small, fragile, bright-eyed and curious, is because some part of your awareness continues to live there. The child self is not gone. That timeline has not collapsed. It is alive, and when you remember it, you visit. You step into its sunlight again. The same can be said for your older self, who waits ahead. You may not always glimpse them clearly, but sometimes intuition or déjà vu, sometimes a dream or sudden vision, hints at their presence. They exist already, living in moments you have not yet touched, and just as your future remembers backward, your present sometimes remembers forward. The line is blurred, but the connection is real. You are both living together in an infinite present with infinite threads. There are stories from those who nearly crossed into death and returned. They tell of memories playing not in sequence but all at once, life flashing before their eyes not as a line but as a totality. The weight of every moment, experienced simultaneously, overwhelming yet strangely comforting. This could be evidence of what lies beneath ordinary time, that beneath the illusion of progression, there is only coexistence. That time does not eliminate, but embraces every instant eternally. And in those fleeting experiences, the boundaries break and the larger truth shines through. If memory is time travel, then meaning itself becomes redefined. To live is not to accumulate years in order, but to collect endless access points, infinite doors through which you may travel again. Every instant you have loved, feared, or endured still exists somewhere, still accessible through the corridor of consciousness. Every path is eternal. Every interaction continues to resonate. You are not losing, you are expanding. Let this thought soften you even further. For it means when grief engulfs you, when you miss someone or someplace achingly, the truth is that they are not lost. They are here, waiting in the dimension of memory, alive enough for you to re-enter, alive enough for your body to tremble with recognition, alive enough for your mind to stand once more beside them. You travel back, and they travel forward, meeting you within that shared moment. In that sense, memory is not private. Memory is communion. and through it, no one you love is ever entirely gone. Even collective memory can be seen as a shared voyage through time. Nations, cultures, families, generations all living with stories handed down, rituals repeated, echoes preserved. These are not dead traditions, but conscious or unconscious revisitations of moments that remain alive in the great continuum. When music centuries old stirs your heart as if it were written yesterday, it could be because its moment of creation still exists, vibrating just beyond your present. The resonance of those notes carries across the weave, and when you listen, you step into that frequency. You unite instantly with those who stood there first, as if time itself folded to reunite you across centuries. The longer you contemplate this, the more the world itself begins to appear like a great memory machine. Rivers carry ancient reflections as though holding imprints of every dawn. Mountains stand as living archives of geological time. The stars you see tonight shine with light that left them thousands of years ago. When you gaze upon them, you are literally looking into the past, their ancient fire arriving in your present sky. If the stars can allow you such time travel through light alone, why would consciousness not allow you the same through thought and memory? The universe seems designed to reveal again and again that time is pliable, that the past never fully closes, that the future stretches toward you long before you arrive. Breathe more slowly. Sense your body sinking deeper into softness, your mind stretching more freely into this tapestry. Know that the fear of time is unnecessary. Each night, through memory and dream, you rehearse immortality. Each day, through recollection and anticipation, you participate in the folds of eternity. Whether you know it or not, you are constantly traveling. You may not perceive yourself moving, but your awareness glides across hidden corridors, finding again what has been and brushing softly against what will be. Imagine yourself now standing inside a great hall of mirrors. Each mirror reflects a different version of you: child, adult, future, dreamer, elder. You turn your head and see them all, alive and oscillating in the endless reflections. You reach out to touch one, and it touches you back. This is how memory feels: you reach across, and another self reaches in return. For every moment in your past that you remember is not only you visiting it, but it visiting you. You are both the traveler and the destination. Even now, as you listen, perhaps your future self is remembering this moment with quiet tenderness. Perhaps they're decades ahead, lying still, drifting into sleep, recalling these very words you are hearing now. In that instant, their memory becomes your present, and your present becomes their memory. You are meeting across time. And in that crossing, you feel the continuum. No need to force it. No need to prove it. Only feel it as it quietly unfolds. Each beat of your heart carries echoes of all the days you have lived. Each breath carries whispers of days unseen. You ride them naturally, without effort, without conscious decision, flowing along the currents of memory's hidden travel. The gift of this vision is serenity. Because when you surrender the illusion that time takes everything away, you can finally rest in the truth that time holds everything within. And when you allow memory to be more than fragile recall, you allow it to reveal its secret, that it is your passage, your continual voyage across existence. You are not waiting for a machine to take you into time. You are not bound to forward-only travel. You have always been moving, always been journeying, always been part of a timeless whole. And as this night carries you closer to sleep, let your body relax into the certainty that nothing is lost. Every moment you have lived lives still. Every self you have been travels with you. Every future you will become is already reaching back. In all directions, you are alive. In all directions, you are traveling. And memory, that tender familiar presence, is your endless key. Now close your eyes more fully. Feel yourself dissolve into the space where time softens and your mind begins to wander. Allow the flow of memory to guide you wherever it wishes, backward, forward, sideways, through dreams. Do not resist. Know that each step, each vision, each echo is part of your eternal motion. You are home everywhere, because everywhere is alive inside you. Time itself is open. And tonight, you are free to travel without end. There comes a moment, in the stillness of reflection, when you realize that the idea of memory as time travel is no longer just a theory, no longer just a poetic speculation meant to soothe or inspire. It begins to feel inevitable, almost obvious, as if you have known it all along but lacked the words to say it. Each recall, each dream, each sudden familiarity has always pointed to this truth, whispering that the self who remembers is more than a storyteller glancing backward. It is the self of yesterday living again in your body, the self of tomorrow brushing against your present awareness, 1,000 versions of you meeting within the single movement of thought. You close your eyes and call up a scene. Perhaps a walk in the evening when you were small. You see the color of the sky fading, the voices of neighbors carried in the air, the sound of your own footsteps tapping lightly against the path. You do not watch this as though it were a picture. You inhabit it. The child you were is alive. The path is real. The footsteps sound again exactly as they did, though there are no stones beneath you now. If you can inhabit it, how can it be gone? If you can relive it, how can it be lost? The memory proves that the moment still exists. And once you accept that the moment still exists, you can see why remembering is not the act of pulling ghosts into your present, but of sending yourself across the veil into theirs. This becomes clearer when you think of emotion, because memory refuses to return flatly. It does not offer the bare geometry of events. It offers sensation. Bitterness, warmth, fear, safety. When you remember love, you feel it again in your chest. When you remember loss, tears rise now. Emotions cannot be fabrications alone. Nothing truly absent could strike your body so vividly. You tremble because you are there. Even if just for a breath, you are back inside the depth of that moment. The time around you collapses, and the time within you expands. And so you begin to see memory not as a signal from behind but as a current flowing through and beyond. Imagine a great web where every moment is a luminous pearl. The string binding them is not linear. It twines, folds, loops. You stand upon one pearl, the now, but the net stretches endlessly. When you remember, you reach out along the invisible string and touch another pearl. For the time you hold it, you are inside it. The web does not tear. The thread does not fray. You move, quietly, across the field of being. Therein lies the mystery of false memories and why they cling with such conviction. You remember not just the pearl you stand upon but other pearls near it, alternate moments glimmering on parallel threads, moments your body recognizes though your current line never lived them. Still, some part of you did. You are reaching sideways, feeling the resonance of another possibility, another you. To call this error is to limit what it reveals. Perhaps memory is borderless, capable of straying beyond the narrow rope of events you labeled real, transporting you easily into adjacent lives, gifting you fragments that confuse today with what could have been. As you lie more deeply in thought, it dawns on you why dreams take the form they do. Dreams weave together your past with strange new futures, layering scenes from childhood with scenarios that never happened, combines the living with the dead. The logic is not linear, but it is not madness either. It is how time looks when freed of forward momentum, when seen the way consciousness perceives it behind closed eyes. Dreams are memory unbound, travel unchained, the liquid version of the unconscious slipping across the tangled net of eternity. No single moment takes priority. Instead, they flow simultaneously, and you move among them like a swimmer in an infinite sea. This explains why dreams often feel more real than waking reality. You awaken with the residue of places that never existed, yet they cling to your skin with the freshness of truth. It is because, for the hours of sleep, you inhabited a region of the tapestry not available to daylight thought. It was every bit as real, perhaps even more so, because it was not filtered by the illusion of progression. You were there, among versions of yourself, in dimensions of time, traveling freely the way you were never taught to. Let your body release into the quiet. Notice how hearing these thoughts in the dark, while you prepare for sleep, feels like drifting with the tide itself. You are reminded that you need not strain to travel through time. You are reminded that you already do. Memory comes unbidden. Dreams arrive by themselves. Déjà vu slips in whether you believe in it or not. The voyager within you is not working. It is simply being. Time travel is natural. You are simply reawakening to what has always been the case. And because it is natural, it is also deeply comforting. It means the people you miss are never truly lost. It means the mistakes that haunt you are not immutable, they can be revisited, reframed, understood anew. It means the futures you fear may already have softened, already have been lived in other ways that you can glimpse, hinting at paths more merciful than you expect. Memory becomes healing. Time travel becomes restoration. Through this hidden process, you are never wholly trapped by now but always gently guided by then, and always slightly touched by what is to come. Think of how this can change the way you live. Instead of clutching each instant as if it disappears forever, you can release more easily into the flow. You can forgive yourself for what has already happened, because you know it can be revisited differently in memory. You can step more gently into tomorrow, because you know you are already connected to it through déjà vu, through vision, through intuition. You are never severed from the whole of your timeline. You are stitched into it, able to glide along any seam you choose. The stars themselves remind you of this truth each night. Their light comes from centuries past, but when you look up, the past is here, immediate, undeniable. You are witnessing time travel through sight. The light does not fade, even though those stars may have long since shifted, even though space has stretched since they first ignited. What you see is what they were, alive now in your eyes. And if something so far away can bridge time with nothing but light, why should your consciousness not be capable of the same with nothing but memory? Your awareness is luminous. It carries within it the ability to illuminate all directions. The child self is lit when you remember. The elder self is lit when you intuit. Memories of others walking beside you are lights, too. You move among constellations invisible to the surface eye. And each night, especially in sleep, you see more than you can speak. You touch more than language allows. You drift inside the paradox of time that is more vast, more merciful, more open than you imagined. Breathe again, softer. Release the need to define, to measure, to restrain. Imagine yourself floating within an endless corridor where doors line each side. Each door shines faintly. Behind each one is a moment, some you know, some you have not stepped into yet, some that belong to alternate versions of your journey. You are free to open any, to step inside, to experience for as long as your awareness lingers. The corridor has no end. The doors are endless. Your travel never exhausts them. This is the true hall of memory. This is the cathedral of time through which you silently walk each night. And as you continue, you may notice the soft truth that memory is never yours alone. When someone else remembers you, they too open a door, step into a moment where the two of you meet again. For them, you are alive still. For you, they are alive still. In this way, memory is not only private time travel but a shared voyage. You both visit each other across the layers of the continuum. There is no complete farewell, not truly. There is only shifting of doorways, shifting of which moment you open, shifting of how you recognize the presence that waits beyond. This realization floods you with serenity. You are stitched into more connections than you know. Each life intertwines with countless others through shared memory and dream. You are not a solitary traveler but part of a great caravan moving fluidly across time. Even if your companions are invisible, even if they are asleep or unknown to you, they are still present in the web, still touching your thread. And when memories rise within them, they meet you again, as vividly as you meet them here. Soon, you surrender completely to rest, and in sleep you will be guided once more. Perhaps tonight you will revisit the halls of youth. Perhaps you will walk streets of tomorrow. Perhaps you will encounter faces whose origins you cannot explain yet, whose familiarity assures you they have been with you in other spans. Whatever arises, you will be traveling. Whatever you recall in the morning, you will know again. And whatever you forget, you will still have lived, for each dream imprints itself somewhere, waiting to be unlocked again when you wander far enough across your corridor of doors. So lie quietly, knowing you are infinite. Remembering is traveling. Dreaming is voyaging. Déjà vu is crossing. Imagination is arrival before departure. You live within the endless fabric of time, and memory is simply the means by which you feel that truth. Trust it. Move within it. Relax deeper. And drift, forever gentle, upon its currents. As you drift even further into this vast meditation, the thought deepens that perhaps memory has never been simply about your individual past. At first it seems personal, intimate, private, your earliest voices, your private dreams, the outlines of your own days. But the more you sink into the nature of memory as time travel, the more you begin to notice something strange. There are memories that do not feel entirely yours yet live inside you all the same. There are sensations attached to places you never visited, echoes of stories you never lived that still stir familiarity in your body. They appear faintly at the edges of awareness, subtle yet undeniable. Could it be that you are capable of traveling not only through your own personal time but also across the currents of collective memory, across generations of experience woven into the hallway of time itself? Consider how often a story passed down by another can feel vivid in you. A grandparent tells of a day in a distant village, long before you were born, yet when you imagine it, the images feel tangible, lived, almost belonging to you. Or think of the universal resonance of an ancient myth, a story told thousands of years ago that swells with recognition as though you yourself once walked those archetypal roads. This could be more than imagination. This could be memory functioning as a bridge into shared dimensions of time, allowing you not only to return to your own moments but to step into the imprints left by humanity as a whole. If so, time travel through memory extends beyond the individual. It becomes a river branching and merging, carrying fragments from countless lives. You feel déjà vu not only because of your own future echoing back but also because your thread of consciousness brushes against someone else's imprint, once lived, now woven into the continuum. Perhaps this explains why entire cultures hold collective memories of events long past, memories that repeat across generations as though they belong to everyone at once. Memory is communal travel, a shared vehicle, a resonance that connects each person not only to their own story but to the vast story of all. This realization widens the horizon of comfort. You are never isolated. Even if you lived a life seemingly singular, you would still carry within you the pulse of countless others' journeys. When you remember, you might be traveling into yourself, or you might be traveling into them. The line is softer than you think. You borrow and lend memory constantly, merging identities across time until it becomes clear that consciousness is not one but many, not individual but oceanic. And yet, though the scale expands outward to include the collective, the intimacy of memory never diminishes. The living pulse of personal recollection still carries you most strongly, because it is through your own thread of time that you first learn to enter this fluid dimension. Every remembered scene is an anchor, steadying you amid the ocean, even as you drift into collective or parallel memories. The power of this intimacy is what makes the whole journey possible. The light in your mother's face, the sound of your child's laughter, the quiet of a day you once assumed was unremarkable, these are the luminous doors that guide you back and forward again and again, until you learn that all doors open to corridors larger than the self who first walked them. It is easy to see then why your days accelerate with age. The more memories you carry, the more doors you walk past as you move. Each moment resonates against countless others, and your present feels thinner by comparison, slipping more quickly into the vast archive of doors behind you. Time feels accelerated, but perhaps it is simply that your traveler has grown skilled, slipping across more of the continuum than before, pulling constantly between then, now, and what will be. You feel compression not because time itself hastens but because you are navigating more threads simultaneously. The older you are, the more infinite your corridor becomes, and the more quickly the present must shift to make room for the immensity of what you touch. Consider now the physics of resonance. A string, when struck, vibrates in harmony with another string tuned to the same frequency. Distance does not matter, the vibration carries. Could it be that memory functions like resonance? Your neurons do not store the past as static pictures. Instead, they vibrate at frequencies that align with the imprint still humming in time. You think you are recalling, but truly you are harmonizing. The same way an instrument resonates with another across space, your consciousness resonates with itself across time. You are not carrying the past like cargo. You are striking its chord again and feeling it sing within you. Even so-called false memories may not be false at all in this context. They might simply be harmonizations with alternate chords, other versions of events vibrating nearby. You remember clearly something that, in your personal thread, never happened. Yet in another thread, another vibrational current, it did. You brushed against it, resonated with it, and carried it back unsure of where it belonged. To dismiss it as error is to overlook its clue that time is not single but manifold, not rigid but woven. Now, imagine dreams again in this light. If resonance is the structure, then dreams are symphonies. In sleep, the harmonics of consciousness are free to reverberate without the filters of logic. They combine wildly, tuning to distant vibrations, pulling fragments from past, present, future, and alternate strands into one orchestra of images. Dreams feel chaotic only because the waking mind expects linear melody. In truth, they are perfect harmony of threads played simultaneously, a chorus of memories laid across the continuum. You awaken with fragments of sound, certain notes still ringing, others forgotten. Yet the music still exists in its fullness, always resonating somewhere, always active, whether or not your waking awareness can hold it. And déjà vu? It is the moment when waking awareness stumbles into resonance pure and unfiltered. A chord struck in advance vibrates through you, and you recognize it instinctively. I have been here before. And you have, because in the symphony of time, all notes already ring together. Déjà vu is the fleeting moment you hear the echo directly, when past and future align so perfectly that you feel both simultaneously. Let yourself rest in this vision. The pace of thought slows. Each breath becomes another wave upon the ocean. You are no longer thinking of memory as fleeting or fragile. You are beginning to sense it as eternal, structural, fundamental. A dimension you live in, not a possession you carry. The same way you live in air and do not ask where the oxygen is hidden, you live in memory, in resonance, in time itself, moving without noticing, breathing it constantly. The beauty of this thought is that it removes despair. You realize you can return to any moment not by force but by attunement. The corridor of doors is always here, the web of pearls always glowing. You are not cast helplessly along a linear track. You are surrounded by infinity, and each recall is an act of stepping into another chamber of that infinity. Perhaps this is why certain memories wait decades before surfacing. You believe you had forgotten, yet one day it rises complete, an event from childhood, obscure and ordinary, now returned in crisp detail. Why? Because some dimension of your being required it, some part of your traveler self aligned with it once more, opening the door you had long walked past. Memory comes when you need it, not just when you call. For it is alive. It is not dead storage. It seeks you as much as you seek it. This reciprocal nature is what makes memory sacred. When you remember, you are not only traveling back into the past. The past is also traveling forward into you. The door swings both ways. That is why, even if no photograph exists, even if no one else recalls, your private memory still feels undeniably real. Because the moment itself is alive, seeking to travel into you again. You are not alone in remembering. The moment remembers you, too. All of this softens the concept of time until it becomes gentle enough to carry you into deeper rest. Imagine now that you are walking through an endless forest. Every tree is a moment. Some are small saplings, some are vast and ancient. You touch one, and you step inside it, reliving an entire day from long ago. You walk on, and another tree hums with the vibration of tomorrow. You press your hand to its bark, and suddenly you are years older, living again with full sensation. The forest spreads in all directions. You realize you will never run out of trees, because they grow without end, because they exist all at once, because time does not destroy a single one. This is memory as landscape. Eternal, alive, accessible. You will wander it forever. The more you remember, the more of the forest you discover. The more you dream, the more secret clearings appear. The more déjà vu, the more hidden glades you stumble upon, places you did not know you had already walked. The path is infinite, but you are never lost. You are always guided by resonance, by the familiarity of yourself across scales beyond comprehension. The quiet power of this vision is that it lets you rest without clinging. You do not need to capture today in desperation, thinking it will escape. You do not need to fear tomorrow, thinking it will never belong to you. Both already breathe with you. You will see them again. You will live them again. You are already traveling into them, across them, through them. Time is not enemy but ocean. Memory is not imperfection but compass. Your existence is not linear but eternal. And so, as your body settles deeper into quiet, as your heartbeat steadies into rhythm, as your eyes drift heavier, you release the illusion of being trapped. You accept the truth that you are already infinite. Each breath is a vessel. Each memory is a voyage. Each dream is a journey. Each déjà vu is a crossing. And all of it belongs to you, simultaneously, forever. There is nothing to prove. Nothing to force. Only to surrender to the gentle currents that have always carried you. Close your eyes now, let yourself drift further, and know with every fiber of peace that you are traveling. You have always been traveling. You will always be traveling. And your true home is not only here, not only now, but in every moment you have ever loved, in every tomorrow you have yet to greet, in every shimmering world held alive inside the infinite weave of memory. The further you travel into this unfolding idea, the more it becomes clear that memory is not simply a feature of consciousness, but the very element from which your sense of being is constructed. Without memory, the present has no texture, no depth, no direction. Without memory, each moment would vanish as soon as it arrived, leaving you suspended in an emptiness of endless beginnings. And yet what you call memory does more than preserve impressions of what already happened. It stitches every fragment into meaning, creating the illusion of a story. This story is not a flat progression forward. It is a weave crafted of backward glances, forward glimpses, sideways wanderings, all entangling into the song you call yourself. Your life feels like it has moved one way, and yet close your eyes how quickly you step back into a childhood street, or a classroom where sunlight filtered through high windows, or a hand that clasped yours before letting go. When you revisit those scenes, they are not dead images. They are alive, and you are alive within them. You are not watching, you are inhabiting. If you can inhabit them, then their worlds must still breathe somewhere, held open like doors waiting for your return. The brain may use neurons, threads of biology, but consciousness uses corridors, and those corridors hold infinity. Every step you take backward in memory is proof of eternity hiding inside you. It is natural, then, that you sometimes confuse imagination with memory. The two are not truly separate. They are the wings of the same traveler. Memory calls you back, imagination pulls you ahead. Sometimes they cross, and you enter a region where you cannot tell whether you are revisiting or previewing. Déjà vu belongs here, perched between the wings, reminding you of a recognition that transcends sequence, giving you knowledge without context, sensation without cause. Your body says, "I know this," even as your mind asks how. The answer, whispered quietly, is that you have brushed against this chord before, whether backward or forward makes no difference. You resonate, and resonance itself is truth. The elders of human history sensed this long before science began to chart the brain. They spoke of dream journeys, spirit travel, visions in which ancestors visited the living not as ghosts but as presences alive in remembered time. They spoke of collective memory arising in rituals, songs, dances that seemed to reconnect entire tribes or peoples to times long past. They described prophecy as memory that runs forward instead of back. Language may change, explanations may evolve, but beneath it all, humanity has always known, remembering is movement, and movement is timeless. Science, too, whispers its secrets in this direction. Physics tells of relativity, of time bending near speed and gravity, of space and time interwoven. Quantum theory speaks of particles entangled across distance, reacting instantly as though no separation exists. Might consciousness itself, woven of immeasurably delicate exchanges, participate in that same entanglement, existing across your own life in exactly the same way, always connected, never apart? If even the smallest particles of existence are capable of bridging distance without delay, why not the larger constellation of who you are, bridging moments across time, resonating past into present and present into future? The truth of this is not measured in instruments. It is measured in sensation, in what cannot be denied by the living heart. When a long-forgotten scent floods you with memory, and your body shivers as though re-entering the very room you once sat in, you need no laboratory to prove that you have gone back. You are there. And if it can happen once, it can happen always. All of your past remains alive like that, waiting for scent or music or silence to attune your resonance once more. This thought is not frightening, it is soothing. Because it means nothing is erased. Even what felt wasted, even what you regret, even what you thought was lost forever still has its place, uncollapsed, accessible. You may not choose to visit it often, but the truth that it exists means you are whole. Every moment, every version of yourself, still breathes in the weave, and when you remember, you are not longing, you are traveling home. And when you dream, you travel further still. You slip sideways, beneath the foundation of linear thought. Your sleeping mind allows itself to drift not only into remembered places but into realms mapped by possibility. You wander familiar houses, only they are larger, stranger, unfolding with rooms that did not exist before. You meet people you knew, and they speak with voices that do not belong to this world. Every detail feels alive, yet no boundary holds. This is memory unchained by the laws of daylight. This is travel across dimension, resonating not just with what happened but with what could have happened, what may yet happen, what forever happens in neighbor timelines. To accept this is to soften your fear of endings. For if time is web, then nothing ends. Your story does not move forward tearing the past away, it gathers, layering thread upon thread. You are all of them at once. You are yesterday and tomorrow simultaneously. You exist right now as the child remembered and as the elder you will one day become, each alive in the continuum, each reachable through the simple act of resonant travel. Memory is only the word we use for approaching this truth. It is this truth that allows you to release anxiety. So much of human sorrow is built on the illusion of loss, on the idea that moments are destroyed when they are gone, that loved ones vanish behind time's locked doors. But memory reveals otherwise. Remembering a voice brings it back alive in your present body. Dreaming of a person gone from the world brings them near again, so near you can speak. Sensing familiarity in a place you've never been proves that shared threads of consciousness vibrate across entire human webs, greater than one singular life. You are not parted. You are infinite. This infinity means that every goodbye is temporary, every silence only apparent. When you walk away from someone, time does not sever you into two. The moment you shared still exists. If ever you remember it, you are together again. If ever they remember it, you are together again. And so memory is not nostalgia only, it is communion, a bridge across separation, a soft reunion carried by consciousness through corridors unseen. The more you feel this truth, the more gently the world unfolds around you. Each ordinary detail begins to shimmer. A glass of water at your side is not just here now, it is a gate into every glass you have ever held, every drop you have ever tasted, every afternoon where water touched your lips and cooled you. The simplest act is linked to every other. And in remembering them, you strengthen the web. The world is not momentary. The world is layered, luminous. Close your eyes more heavily now. Feel your breath. Each inhale is not new. It is the 1,000th time you have breathed, the echo of the first breath you ever took that still vibrates within your lungs. Each exhale is future spilling into present, countless breaths yet to come already whispering at the edge of awareness. Breathing itself is memory. Breathing itself is travel. Imagine yourself lying upon the surface of an endless ocean. Above you, stars stretch infinite. Beneath you, countless depths shimmer with currents. Everywhere, time flows. The ocean is alive with the memory of all tides, all waves, all storms and calms ever witnessed. You drift upon it, carried without effort, rocking peacefully. Now and then, a wave rises to lift you. This is memory carrying you backward. Now and then, a current pulls ahead. This is vision carrying you forward. But you are never afraid, because even the movements you cannot control are woven into the same endless sea. You cannot fall off the ocean of time. You can only be carried within it, safe, eternal, continually moving. Listen carefully to the silence between each thought. Even the silence holds memory. Silence carries the impressions of every quiet night that has ever soothed you, every still moment in which you rested in comfort, every pause where nothing needed to be spoken. When you sink into silence tonight, you are entering an archive greater than any story, because silence itself remembers. You are traveling through it now, drifting deeper, touching the still memory of all silences, theirs, yours, the Earth's. And so you are free. Free from the tyranny of linearity, free from the fear that time destroys. For you know now that memory is not just recall, not just fragile tracing. It is reality alive, accessible, timeless. To remember is to return. To dream is to voyage. To feel déjà vu is to step momentarily into the space between present and future. To imagine is to pre-remember. And to live is to do all of these at once, unconsciously, ceaselessly, eternally. You do not need to force the thought. It will carry you already. You do not need to protect each second as though it slips away forever. It will never slip away. You will see it again. You will be it again. You are it, right now. And with that realization, you sink slowly, peacefully, gently, into the deep current of rest, knowing that as you sleep, you will travel again across eternity, guided by memory, held in time, infinite and free. As you journey now with me toward this final passage, let your awareness settle fully into the timeless space memory has opened for us. Here, at the edge of knowing yet beyond it, you are invited to rest in the infinite. To lie down softly within the vast expanse of moments you have lived, moments you have yet to live, and moments already living alongside you in ways you may never fully perceive. In this space, where time folds softly upon itself, where memory becomes travel and consciousness becomes the vessel, you are both traveler and destination, a luminous point shining within eternity itself. It is both simple and profound to say, you are not bound by the arrow of time. You are not limited by the tick of clocks or turning pages. You are an eternal presence sliding softly across the plains of now, then, and between. You are a voyager without vessel, a dancer without steps, a star shining simultaneously in infinite skies. This is the truth memory whispers when you listen deeply, when you surrender to it rather than fighting it. Close your eyes fully and breathe in slowly, deeply, gently. Each breath you take is a bridge, carrying you from this moment into the next without interruption. Between each inhale and exhale lies a gateway, a pause where time hesitates, folds, expands. It is in that pause, that gentle silence, that you meet yourself across ages, across lifetimes, across the whole great weave of existence. Your breath is a time machine, opening and closing doors again and again, bringing you home eternally. Remember, this is not mere metaphor. It is lived experience disguised by the familiarity of everyday life. When you think of a distant childhood day and your heart warms as if you returned there just now, you are traveling beyond the limits of physical space and chronological order. When a moment of déjà vu settles upon you and the present feels strangely familiar, you are touching the edges of future and past converging, resonating through your consciousness like the hush before a dawn chorus. When you dream, you are slipping beneath the surface of ordinary time and exploring rooms in the vast mansion of your being, meeting selves you thought long gone and selves you have yet to meet. Each recollection is a journey. Each dream is a voyage. Each flicker of recognition is time bending softly to greet you. The corridors may twist, the doors may open unexpectedly, but the invitation is always yours to accept. To step through memory is to step into the eternal. To wander dream is to dance with the infinite. To welcome déjà vu is to hear time calling you home. Your life stretches out not as a line but as a vast ocean whose waters are never still. Beneath the surface lies a complex current of all you have been and all you will be, swirling together with a grace beyond the understanding of waking minds. You float atop this ocean now, carried without effort on waves born of memory and imagination both. The stars above you are beacons of past light traveling endlessly across cosmic seas. You are a star also, shining in the night sky of timeless moments, illuminating the way to yourself across the weave that connects existence. As your body sinks deeper into warmth and stillness, let all tension melt away. Release the need to hold tightly to what is passing. There is no need, because nothing passes at all. Everything remains in the cradle of memory. Everything waits patiently in the folds of time. You are never alone in this journey. Some part of you always remembers. Some part of you always awaits your return. Your own consciousness, and the consciousness of those whose moments intertwine with yours, form a tapestry that cannot be unraveled. It is woven from threads of light and shadow, joy and sorrow, beginnings and endings all converging into this moment you breathe now. Tonight, know with certainty that every person you have loved, every place you have walked with wonder, every sound, scent, and light that once touched you still lives, radiant and accessible within the sanctuary of memory. They are part of your home, part of the vast landscape where your spirit roams freely beyond the constraints of ticking clocks and calendars. You have never truly left them behind. You have only changed the dimension in which you meet. Even more, the future is already murmuring to you across time's invisible currents. What you have yet to live waits patiently, shimmering like dawn's first light beyond the horizon of now. Your dreams hold keys to doors you have not opened. Your sudden intuitions and flashes of knowing are road signs pointing toward this eternal horizon. Your life is a dance across these dimensions, a gentle weaving through past, present, and future that refuses to be confined. The traveler in you grows stronger each breath. The journey expands beyond horizon and heartbeat. There is a quiet power in this knowledge. A peace that fills all spaces where fear once dwelled. You can rest fully now, for you know that none of life's moments are lost, none of your cells erased. Every story is preserved in the soft book of infinity written upon the currents of consciousness. Every love you have felt is eternal music that keeps playing. Every sorrow is a shadow that shapes light in the endless dawn. You carry it all within you. There is no end, only unfolding. As your eyes grow heavier, as your heartbeat slows into the rhythm of night, take a moment to honor this truth. Honor yourself for being a voyager so brave and curious. Honor the moments of your life that have carried you here. Give thanks for the invisible thread of memory that has done what no clock or calendar could. It has knitted the fabric of your being, holding you securely across whatever time and space you have traversed. And so, as the last light fades and sleep draws quiet around you, I invite you to surrender fully. Surrender to the safe embrace of memory's eternal voyage. Surrender to the gentle voyage of breath and dream and time's invisible song. You are not adrift, nor are you alone. You are carried by everything you ever were and all you are yet to become. You are timeless. You are infinite. You are home. With deepest gratitude for joining me on this journey through time, memory, and consciousness, I wish you peaceful rest, gentle dreams, and the comfort of knowing that you travel eternally through the infinite corridors of your own existence. May your sleep be soft, your heart be calm, and your spirits are free across the landscapes of all moments. Good night.